Yasser,
That's me.
founder, global CEO of Tender Loving Care.
Yes.
Welcome to Chew the Fat.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Today you said you wanted to have something seafood.
Yes.
So my goal is to have the best tasting prawns you've ever had. So today we have chili, garlic, lemon prawns with a little wood-fired bread. For the first part, it's always about me watching your reaction to see if you're lying to me or not.
No, really good.
Good?
Really good.
Oh, excellent. A little bit of context. Could you, I guess, summarize what Tender Loving Care does and is all about?
Well, Tender Love and Care is an impact-based business that runs 8 different entities in 8 different countries, actually. And it's the backbone of it is helping people and enhancing people's lives through successful and sustainable business. So we created an ecosystem that, in essence, designed to deliver best outcome and give accessibility to people that are vulnerable.
Amazing. And so I guess I've got so much to unpack with the business side of things, but I'd love to understand, you and I have spoken about this and it's something that blew me away, is I'd love to understand, I guess, the why. Because ultimately to take that leap from your standard commercial business into something that has deep impact, and we'll be able to unpack more later, I would love to know what was the context that drove you to make that decision?
There's a concept called a moment in the moment, right? And that concept I've learned over the years. And the idea of it is every person faces a moment in their life that changes completely their life if they pay attention to it. So we all face it. But some people would see, oh my God, that's sweet, that's beautiful, and then they walk away with their own life. What happened with me was completely different. I was in the corporate side of life. I was working into sales, marketing, business, growing, very revenue focused, very income focused, and life was good. The one day I had, it's just something for me when I feel a bit down or things like that, I would catch a train, and I've always liked to monitor human behavior on the train. That's why I went in. It was a meditation thing. So one of those days, I was having a moment where I needed to just be on my own and just go do that. I caught a train. And just monitoring people. There was an elderly lady, and I remember her. She's close to my heart, and she was crying, and she was literally sitting across from me. So I asked her, "Are you okay? Is everything okay?" And that's what you would do. Expected nothing from it but a conversation, and then she started telling me her story, which was quite a very sad story around her kids and moving to nursing home or not, and her house. It was just a bit of a sad story that she's very lonely. And as the conversation went, she had some shopping, so I said, "Would you like me to help you?" And then I just carried her bags, walked her to her house, went in, and the house was a bit messy. Not too messy, but it just needed a little bit of love to it. And so I offered, I said, I'm happy to help you tidy up the house and clean it. And I went and did that, cleaned the fridge, and had a bite to eat, had a cup of tea with her, and we really enjoyed a nice time. And then I left, and ever since, for 2.5 years, I've been going to her every Saturday doing the same thing. Wow. Just literally walking in, tidying up the house, going out shopping, having a bite to eat, cooking some meals, and then I'd leave. But after she passed, in my head for 2.5 years, all I was thinking is I'm here to help someone not to be lonely. That is all I was thinking. I didn't think of anything else. But when she passed, I discovered that it wasn't me helping her, it was her helping me. Didn't have a family here in terms of immediate family, like parents, brothers, siblings, that kind of stuff. And so to me, she was the closest to a family. And I started realizing that me helping her, I was helping myself. It really changed my concept completely of how we can be vulnerable if we don't have people around us, how helping people make you feel better, and it makes you feel very valued to yourself. So I decided to quit my job, and actually had a massive pay cut when I did that, because I moved into the social services, which was mainly disability. That's what I did. And my income went to quota from what I was earning back in those days. And it did hurt a little bit.
Of course. But
it kept me going, that just feeling that I'm helping people. I look at people that I help and I was like, it just feels right. And that was a massive change of career. And then I decided that if I'm helping people, I need to help them the best way I can. And to do that, I had to learn, go back to uni and study social services. I had to grow into my career because I can help more people by being a manager, by being a business person. And that was the shift into business itself.
Wow.
If I need to help more people, I need to be more successful. I need to be running, an ecosystem that can deliver outcomes where I have a bit more control to help people.
Amazing. That is very cool. Now, I'd love to go into a couple of those details. So,
Sure.
so tell me, what was the type of work you were doing, in terms of like what was the role, and then of course we shifted into the business.
So I took in the disability side of things?
No, so prior. So I just want to understand that juxtaposition between what you were doing to the big jump into obviously what you grew.
So I was in sales.
Okay.
I worked in a big furniture. I can mention the name.
Of course, yeah.
So that's Nick Scotty Furniture.
Yes, okay.
And I was managing a couple of their initial stores, and then went into the state management position offering. Mm-hmm. But I walked away at that time.
Amazing.
So it was more into heavy sales, heavy income, heavy commission-based type of job.
Very cool. And I think there's a lot of people, the people in the audience who are thinking about doing that leap from they have, in my opinion, the higher your salary gets, the harder that leap becomes. So take me back to that moment in time. You had this big purpose drive, but was there any times where you went, am I doing the right decision? Have I made the right decision?
Absolutely. So a lot of the times you'd question, okay, I'm started to struggle. I used to have the nice car. I used to have the comfortable financially, travel every year on a holiday for a couple of weeks. And then suddenly I started feeling, okay, that's a bit painful now. I can't do a lot of these things. But it all comes down to the purpose, why you did it in the first place. And if it's servicing that purpose. And you have to determine what makes you feel better. The reality of it is I was a lot more lonelier when I had the money, but I didn't have the helping side of things. I've also was a lot more not very satisfied about myself for whatever reason. It's just, sometimes everything is good, you're just not feeling 100%. Yeah. I was in that mood, and I can tell you now I feel 100%, and I've been feeling 100% for a very long time since I started the move. It just feels good when you go home and I've done everything I can to help someone well. You just feel different, But it also makes you realize in a lot of cases when you look at people that have a lot more struggles than you have in life in terms of health or other, you start realizing, what, it's still not the worst. I'm not in the worst case scenario. So even though you're shorter on income or financials, you're still not the worst case scenario.
So it gives you perspective.
It gives you perspective, it gives you satisfaction. So it turns you back into it. So if you give me money versus satisfaction with myself, I take satisfaction with myself any day. But the reality of it is when you pursue purpose, if you're knowledgeable, educated, have the right mentors behind you, seeking improvement in yourself, ambitious, you end up delivering. So the reality of it is, I can tell you I'm very comfortably running a very successful business while helping people. So now I hate both. Now, had I not made that shift and not pursued a career into it, I would have been potentially having the side of the financials, but I'm not sure if I really would have had the self-satisfaction. Right. So sometimes you have to go back to go forward. And that's what I did. I went back in the financial aspect. But I believe that I went forward, and I think I had a jump start to my career by doing that.
Amazing. And you touched on something there which I think is really, really important. I guess firstly I'd love to know what was that roughly that age where you made that decision, but then also what were those learnings that you had to go through from both the university learning, business learning? What did that actually look like tangibly?
So I was 29 when I made that. Okay. When I made that call, I came to. 30
right now. So,
sorry.
So you don't look a day over 30 right now. So
thank you. No, I'm definitely over 40. But it was 29, and I came to Australia 23, and from when I was 23, which was right after uni, till 29, I was just very heavy into sales and marketing and that side of things with Nick Scotty, and that was pretty much what I did. It was just focus on that. And look, there was an aspect to it where I came newly to Australia. I wanted to build a career. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to have a house. I wanted to have kids. So there was a motive behind it that is not wrong at all. Like there's nothing wrong with trying to pursue financial returns as long as it's through the right means.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about now the self-satisfaction into giving. You know, sometimes giving others and helping others changes your perspective to the world. And it changes you as a person. And that's the moment in the moment we're talking about. That responding to that moment to create a massive change in your life, to deliver goodness, and that will ultimately return back to you. And being patient to go through the cycle. Because a lot of us are not really that patient, right? We're looking at the immediate return.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work like that. Sustainable growth doesn't come from immediate returns. It comes from long-term planning into a pathway that delivers goodness and gives you back what you're looking for.
Amazing. And what different education did you then have to go in post you launching the Tender Loving Care? Like what's the things that you had to upskill yourself on, had to go places? Like what did you have to do?
Plenty. Okay. So the concept is, if you want to do something good, you have to really nail it, right? So you can't just be passive about it. So for example, I came to Australia with an engineering degree, right? So that's completely out of what I did. But I started disability services, I did social services, I did masters, I did PhD, I did diploma, I'm a qualified accountant, and so all these things, and everything at a certain stage. So I wasn't just going uni, I wasn't like just a nerd that loved reading books, right? It wasn't like that. It was part of my career progression. If I wanted to become something, I had to invest in myself. Sometimes people invest through having mentors, and that's great. Sometimes people go through coaching, that's fantastic. And some people do it through all of that, including education, and that's what I did. It was very important for me to learn well, to be good at what I did. It's a challenge that I had to get my English intact. My jokes were so lame, Frank, when I first came. I was just couldn't say, because it was all translated, all right? Yes. So you had to adjust and adapt, and to be able to lead and people actually look up to you, there's a bit of work you have to do. Success doesn't come easy, People commonly look at the end result, and sometimes they miss the journey, right? But it's the journey that what makes the end result. It's not that you don't just get born into it. Or some people do, but commonly you don't. So reality speaking is you have to invest in yourself, and education was a big piece of it. In my career, I went into government. I worked in government, non-government, private sectors, and I just worked my way up, having a lot of mentors. At the moment, till today, I have a lot of mentors, because you cannot stop learning. If you stop learning, you start dying. It's that simple.
Love it. And so you touched on something there, is those different jumps you had to do before you actually started Tender Loving Care.
Yes.
And so I guess the question I have for you is, what was the decision point for you? You've worked in government, you've worked in those different areas. What was the decision point to end that, from a steady climbing career once again, and then restart one more time to be able to start the business?
So when I first went into government, it was because I wanted to have a lot more influence into improving people's lives. And I did. I did that as the best I could at the time. But there was a shift between the state government funding into the disability sector to federal government. And in that shift, I felt that I could serve better by being outside in the private sector. So I did that. I did that move. We were asked at the time to move into potentially go into the tender that was happening with federal government and other. And I chose not to do that, and I walked away, and I worked in the private sector for a while. But as I was doing that, I felt a bit suffocated. Firstly, I was working in a non-for-profit, which is a board, and the motives behind growing a business in that sector is a bit trickier. And I've had all these ideas that can help people outside of government, because I feel that the government would do everything they can, but it still will be limited. And if you really want to help people, you can't just always rely on government. You have to get creative with it. I had the business knowledge, I had the mindset, I had the experience, I had the ambition. And so I had all the recipes for success, plus determination. I just wanted to do good. I wanted to help people. And that was the motive behind the change. I can do it when I'm running a private business that I have an ultimate control into pursuing my ideas. And it wasn't just random stupid ideas. It was ideas that I went to a lot of my mentors that they stress tested it and challenged me with it. And I wrote it down. I sat down did my SWOT analysis, and is it going to work? Is it not going to work? What are the risks? So it was a very educated approach. But I needed to have control to deliver creativity and simple things like going international. How many disability services that you know that are international in Australia?
I don't know any.
There isn't any. The reality of it is there isn't any. We're the only ones that I know of anyway. Some tried, but it's not the way we do it. And why did I do it? You know, this is a lot of people ask me that question. Why did you actually go to that? And the idea is I can give people with disability accessibility to different countries, which otherwise you couldn't. Working with government at the moment to allow them to have accessible tourism, so people, it helps them for economical reasons, where people with disability can travel, but it also serves the purpose of allowing people to do that. Bringing the standards from other countries, mixing it up with the standards of the Australian standards, delivering the best of the best. So everything has a concept to it, but it goes outside of government now. So the government doesn't have to take responsibility for everything. We have also a social responsibility that we have to deliver. And if I can design a business model that can deliver that and generate revenue, so it's a sustainable business, then I'm on the win. And that's why I did the whole shift, that I can do that.
Amazing. And bring me into some of those key challenges from, there's a reason that often people go from their own country, they try, another country, and they ultimately fail and retreat from that. So bring me through some of those big lessons that maybe you weren't, quite prepared for that global expansion.
Yes. So first thing, you're not always right. So,
I don't know about that one.
Not you. I'm talking about me. Sorry. No, what I'm saying is that you can't be complacent and arrogant with your decisions, right? Because a lot of people say, I'm going to go there, I'm going to get it done. What have you done to stress test it, to make sure that this is the right decision? So you don't just jump into decisions, hey, I'm going to go international, hey, pack your bag and book a couple of grand ticket and fly out there. That's not how it works. You do a lot of research first. Market segmentation, what's the best market? What are the target markets, and when is the best time to access those markets? What are the contacts you have in these markets? Where are you going to start? Like, you can't just go do everything. And plus, what we have in Australia is not the same as other countries. So how are you going to cater your services to the countries you're going in? So a bit of research has to happen, partnering sometimes. In the UK, we partner. So we don't just go as a tender loving care. We actually partner with another provider in there, and we go under their umbrella and we deliver a technology service that is brilliant. But if I could have done it on my own, but the hurdles and the challenges and the learning and all this is completely mitigated by having a partnership.
Yes.
So it's being smart and savvy and not thinking that you've got it all figured out prior to actually sitting down and relying on knowledge and data. So that's step one. Once you get that right, you will understand if it makes sense or it doesn't. If it makes sense, then you pursue it, you take it to the next level. If it doesn't make sense, you walk away. There are countries that we walked away from in certain services, and it's because it didn't make sense. United States is one of them.
Okay.
So we're in the United States, and initially when we went, we wanted to do the whole suite of services. But when we did a full market analysis, we're like, it's not a niche there, and when you go to the United States, you're in 52 countries in one country.
Yes.
Right? So when you do market segment, it took us a year and a half to make the decision. So it's not a rush decision, but a year and a half, because every time we look into a model, it looks very different in other states. So we had to target which states we want to be in and what is the niche one. So there we only do mental health clinics, because that was the niche there. There's a lot of drug abuse happening in the United States, and people commonly, when they come off the journey, they end up with some mental health issues, depressions or other. So we found a niche there, because a lot of the targeting happening in the United States, majority of it, is targeting the addiction itself. What we're targeting is post-addiction.
Yes.
What happens when people now go home, you're not a drug addict anymore? What happens then, right? Because that's when you start feeling a bit lonely, depressed, a lot of judgment from the community that can sometimes impact that, create isolation, our social isolation. So we found a niche there, right? So that's what we do, and we do it really well. So we don't just jump on, we're very educated in our approach.
And with that, so with the US, it's an awesome example, and it's a part of the business I actually did not know about. So part of this enjoyment for me is learning even more, Yasser. With the US and with that example, did you have to partner with someone there? Did you go into multiple states, or is it, once you've made that clear decision, and now it's time to, I guess, almost test and measure your thinking? What does it look like from day one to how many years it's been now?
So we definitely partnered. And the reason what we partnered is we got clinics that are quite reputable, and they do the addiction, and then we said, okay, now that you do the addiction, we're going to be the continuity of the care, and we will do the mental health side that comes from it. So they focus on addiction treatment and helping people with having tools and resilience tools to not go back to the addiction and that kind of stuff. We deal them with the depression, the mental health issues, if there's any schizophrenia, that kind of stuff. That's the part that we then went in. Suicidal ideation is quite common in that space. So we deal with that part only, and then they do the addiction, and we complete each other. Okay,
interesting. So one, like, the more I hear your story, Yasser, the more, I guess, complexity that starts to unfold. The one, to your point before around perspective, it brings a lot of perspective into my day, which I appreciate. But number two is, for me, I start to fill up this really big bucket around like what you would need to do for this global CEO role. And I think to bring it down to and make it tangible for everybody is, like, the reality is most people listening are not going to have big global expansions today. However, they're going to have their own business that feels like it's filling up their bucket. And so my question is as follows: how do you prioritize your time to make sure you're creating the biggest effect now that you're in 8 countries, now that it is so large?
So the concept of cause and effect is very important for me, right? So I don't focus on the effect, I focus on the cause. So I go in the root cause of the organization, that what will make this organization strong. So I build up a very powerful, strong, trusted management team, executive team. And then I embed my values with them. So we hire based on values, we have to align in values and ambition and what we want to do. And then they start taking the organization and delivering my vision. And that's very important. The alignment of vision with everyone that works for you is key. And that includes the global expansion. Why are we expanding globally? What is it delivering for us? Why are we in different businesses, not just disability? So bear in mind, we're in technology, we're in food and beverage, we're in travel. And when I say that to people, I get that question, like, you're going all over the place. Actually, I'm not going all over the place at all, because I have very clear vision. But what happened is, we applied blue ocean strategy, right? Which is basically, how are you going to be different, deliver different, feel different, look different, and become the missing piece in the puzzle in the whole market. So everyone's doing something. How can you complete the picture? And that's what we decided to do. Blue ocean. You can see that.
Perfect. I'm
So we decided to go the blue ocean side of things, right? And what that means is, when I have, for example, the food and beverage company, 70% of our employees are people with disability. 70%. So it's can I hire 70% in any business unless it's designed to deliver that? That it has a commercial outcome, so there is a revenue that can pay the wages, because it's open employment, right? It's wages like you and I would get paid. So how can I do that? How can I make sure there's enough support into it? So it doesn't change the purpose at all. But instead of relying on government revenue, I commercialized it. Found an item where people will be interested in. So the business model itself is looking at what's missing in the market. And then think about it. You've got 2 glasses of water here, they're exactly the same. Quality is the same, but one of them would help people with disability to gain employment, the other one won't. Which one would you be keen to contribute?
Of course.
And that's a simple contribution. You're not paying anything extra. You're only just utilizing the product. That's it. And that's what we're trying to do here. Because it's a given. Most people will choose the impactful side of things. And that's why impact is huge in business. And when we talk about impact investment, Frank, I mean, we had a bit of chat about that before. Impact investment is proven to return more return for businesses. So it's a good decision that does good. And you look at all the larger organizations, like McDonald's has the Ronald McDonald's House, Woolworth has the Woolworth Foundation, Emirates Airline has the Emirates Foundation. It's all around impact, correct? If you have good impact, it's good for business. but it's also good for the community. It's a social responsibility that we all have. That's one of the things that I always tell businesses. And our business is very impact driven. Impact comes first and then everything else follows.
Amazing. And I want to drill into that one around the impact piece. Is like, because, you know, knowing where you are today and you know, as everything's grown, I know there'd be lots of people coming to you for feedback and advice. And what has there been any feedback and advice that you've given to people that you've seen from, you know, prior, maybe that didn't have any impact investment to today they do, that you've seen has actually fundamentally made a really big impact in just your, you know, in just your words?
Plenty.
Can I have some an example? You don't have to use names, but I'd love to have like an example.
I've got a friend of mine that has quite a big restaurant chains, and he was never really hiring any people with disability, and now he's got people with disability working for him. That's a big piece. There is a concept that we're now discussing, which is in the making. We're having a dementia-only restaurant.
Wow.
So all employees to be dementia. It's a model that happened in Japan, I'm pretty sure, and it went really powerful and beautiful because it's actually a beautiful concept.
Wow.
Because as a customer, you're in there knowing that your order might come wrong, and you're okay with it.
Wow.
You might order prawns
Yeah.
and end up with lobster.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's about empowering and giving an opportunity for people and accepting the challenge. So you go in there, you order a meal, but you don't actually know what you're going to get. Right? But there's beauty behind that.
Yeah.
Right? It's the support and the impact is great,
Yes.
but also the acceptance. You're accepting that someone might have a struggle and they don't do it deliberately and they're not doing it to upset you. They just got it wrong.
Yeah.
You know, for whatever reason. And it changes your perspective. So it's kind of, there's a conversation happening around that at the moment, and I'm loving the concept. Another thing that we've done, and that is really powerful, so we opened a coffee shop, completely funded by us, and handed to clients and people with disability. So we don't make any profits out of it or anything, we just build it and we give it to them, and then they run it as their own business.
Wow.
So now what we're creating is, instead of taking taxpayers' money, and that's fine when people need it, but trying to create a platform for them to start actually paying tax and giving back and earning living and contributing as equally. Because a lot of people with disabilities actually want to contribute back, they just don't know how.
Yes.
Businesses are not really opened up to them. We don't adjust the ways we do things to help them out to succeed in the job that they offered. But small adjustments can change that. So we're taking initiative, we're now looking at a franchising model for that coffee shop. And it's purely for people to service people with disability to get employment and earning and running their own business.
That is incredible. So talk to me about that, right? So so what you're saying in essence is part of the business, but not even part of the business, because reality is it doesn't generate any revenue, but part of the impact that you're creating is you've created coffee shops, help set them up the business strategy and model, and then given them over to people with disabilities to essentially go and run and produce. Absolutely. Yeah, if you come to my office, it's the coffee shop's downstairs, and you can see it's run by the people there. They get the money. We have no involvement. We only give them the place and the initial kickstart, and now they're flourishing. But when I say impact investment returned more, it's because now we've done an impact investment. There's no return for it at all for the organization, or no direct return for it. But what it does is we are upholding our values. We are upholding our purpose through these initiatives, because we need to tell people we don't just talk about it, we do it, you know, because that's how you lead by example. That's how you become a leader. So if you ask me now, what are your competitors? I'll say no one. And why is that? Because our mindset shifted completely. We don't compete anymore. We're ahead. We're leading the way. We're disrupting the market. And if you just dig into our model, you'll find that it's never was done in that context before. I had the other day another provider from Melbourne calls me, can I come and sit with you? And I said, absolutely. So the guy came in, and I was like, I'm happy to collaborate, but I wasn't sure. And I was in Melbourne at the time. And he goes, I just heard about your coffee shop initiative, and I want you to tell me how to do it, because I want to do it. Amazing. So now we're leading the way and opening the door for more opportunities to come. And that's exactly what we want to do. With that person doing it, it automatically means I succeeded in my mission. Yes. Now, from a business perspective, when you see an organization
that is upholding its values, upholding its purpose, and really wanting to do good, is that an organization you want to associate with? So it shifts the whole mindset. And from a business perspective, you get more people associated with you, more people willing to partner with you, then your business grows, ultimately. But stay to your lane where this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's a legacy building, it's helping people, it's changing and improving people's lives and opportunities and giving them accessible opportunities. Are we doing that? Yes. Have we finished? Not yet.
So that leads me beautifully to the next question I have for you, Yasser, and it is the following. If you look, let's fast forward, 30-ish years from today, 30 or 40 years from today, you're between 70 and 80 years old and you're reflecting on your life and you're like, I am one happy man. What are you most proud of?
Changing people's lives. I've changed a lot of people's lives. In disability, in aged care, in businesses. I get a lot of joy with taking the challenges on and turning into success. There's two types of people. There's people that work very hard to and take the challenges as to generate energy, right? So you wake up in the morning, I'm gonna have this challenge, I'm gonna have this thing, and you just on it. And that gives you energy. Other people dispense energy to get things done. And that's when you hear burnout or tired. And there's nothing wrong, it is what it is. I'm one of these guys that take energy out of those challenges. So when I look back and I see, okay, I've had that challenge and it worked. This person needed support and I did, and their life is better. This person had an addiction problem and they no longer have that problem, or whatever. These things are the satisfying side of things. And at the same time, I'm running a successful business. 2 days ago, I received a letter in the mail, literally 2 days ago, until Thursday. And I didn't know what to expect, right? So I opened it up and I get a letter from the parliament with one of the ministers acknowledging the work we've done. I had no idea. This is a very genuine acknowledgement that was not planned, discussed, talked about, or anything like that. It just came in the mail. And the acknowledgement was for what? Because we're ahead. There's plenty of other people doing the work we do in the area and in the sector, but not the way we do it. Because we are doing it to deliver great outcomes outside of business.
Yes.
And that's the principle behind it. So it made me very happy. It just made me very happy.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's all about that continual impact, and I guess my question for you is, where we started was with that lovely older lady and the feeling that gave you, seeing the impact in her life, but also the impact it gave you. Is there any other stories that you have, like one that pops straight into your mind around like something that your business has done that person has come back to you and said, hey, this has fundamentally changed my life? Do you have anything?
Absolutely.
Because I imagine that would fill up your bucket
I
very much from your energy perspective.
Just so you know, till today,
Yes.
I go down to I've got 1,100 staff in total.
Wow.
And I go to my service manager and I say, can you put me on shift? I want to go help people. And I go on shift and support people till today. It keeps me grounded and it keeps me appreciative to everything. I don't have to do it. It's completely by choice. And that's the point of giving back doesn't have to stop ever by you growing in business. Or I have people like, "Oh, you're too busy. I know we don't want to hassle you." I'm like, "No, come talk to me." This is what I like. The other part I do it purely because it services the greatness.
Yes.
One day I was walking out of my office and passing by the customer care manager's office, and one of our current staff members was sitting in there. And he had a very sad story. He has dwarfism and he was bullied, like you have no idea, was hung on trees, like really badly. So he stayed at home for more than 2.5 years, not leaving home because he's too worried to be bullied and things like that. I've actually got a video made for him. If you check, I can share it with you. But what he did is I overheard him said, I don't want to be just being in programs. I want to do something and no one is allowing me. I want to work. I want to give back. I want to do something. And I heard that. So I walked in and I said, Billy, tell me, why do you want to do that? He goes, well, I deserve to earn my own living and be able to contribute back, and no one giving me the opportunity because I've got dwarfism. And I said, okay, if I give you a job, you need to understand that I will treat you like everyone else. If you can do the job, you get the job. Doesn't matter if you're male, female, got a disability, what's your background, what's your belief system. It's irrelevant. If you can do the job, you do the job. So what job do you want? And he told me he wanted to support people. I said, okay, you've got 6 months probation like everyone else. You want to be treated like everyone else, and that's the right thing to do? I'm going to do that. 6 months probation, if you don't do the job, you're out. If you do the job, you're in. That's 3 years ago, he's still with us.
Wow.
Right? So, and he came up to me, he goes, Yasser, I want to tell my story. Can you help me doing that? Because this is changed my life. So we have a video for him upon his request. It wasn't a marketing video. We don't market on these things, by the way. These things for us, it's feel good, do good stories that we don't capitalize on at all. But he chose and asked for it. He said, can I tell my story? And I called my marketing team and I said, video what he wants to tell and don't change anything. Don't tell him what to say, just let him say. And he said it actually, it changed his life completely. He's out, confident, working, supporting people, just complete change in his life at the moment. Wow. And he co-presents with me when we go to, we've done a conference called Power to the People, and him and I presented together his story. So, amazing. Yeah.
And how does it make you feel when you think about that?
That I am living up to my values, and not everyone can sit back and say, I could do that. A lot of people want to do good, but they don't for whatever reason. Not many people can have a job that gives them satisfaction, give them income, give them status, give them everything while they're giving back. And I'm lucky in a way that I'm in a position that I can do all of that.
That's so cool. And I guess the reverse of that is, what does that make you feel? Is like, what are you most afraid of?
It's a very deep question. I've never thought of it. What am I most afraid? Look, the biggest thing that I always have a concern with is, am I going to be able to do that and deliver it in the best way I can till I'm like 100, I love what I'm doing, and I really enjoy every day of it. When we have a tough day, and Laura, my Australian CEO, she'll call me like, yes, we're having this tough day. I'm like, it's going to be a beautiful day. If we have a tough day, it's a beautiful day, because tough days means that you've got a challenge, and if you fix that challenge, it means you improve someone's life. Because remember, everything we do is about someone's life being better. So if there's a challenge and we fix it, we've improved someone's life. So I would say that's it. I haven't thought of fees. I don't particularly think of the negatives in general. So I can't say I'm worried about this or worried about that. I'm just in my lane, and I know exactly where I'm going. I know exactly what I need to do, and I'm just at it. And I'm not gonna stop until I say that I've done everything I can to help people. Amazing.
I guess the last question I have for you, Yas, is there anything we haven't spoken about? Is there any question I haven't yet asked you?
No, not really. You've dug into the history of the business. You've dug into me as a person. So no, I'm happy with what we shared. I always say, it's a statement that I always say, one hand can clap. Right? I can't do it on my own. I need my team behind me. TLC cannot do it on its own. It needs partners to do it with us, because one hand can't clap. So we all have to keep at it. And remember the value of mentorship. Mentorship is so powerful. If anyone in business wants to grow, you have to find the right mentors. Advices don't always cut it, because advices doesn't come from track record experiences. Mentorship does. So when you talk to people to guide you through the journey, my personal view about it is find people that have done it before, because that minimizes your chances of error making, and increase your chances of success. And that's ultimately what we all want to achieve. So that's my final words, I would say.
Awesome. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Frank. Always a pleasure.